Yay, we're live. So, hi, I am
Hey.
Casey Bowker, and with me is Caitlin Yarsky, and I know you a bit.
hmm
We've actually met in real life. How crazy is that? In a different time and place
Yeah,
before, the world got attacked by
before the
zombies.
apocalypse. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Which is why one of the many reasons why I wore my Buffy shirt, because I thought it was
Oh, I'm so
appropriate.
jealous.
Huge Buffy fan. Huge Buffy fan. But this isn't about me. This is about you. And why don't you give the viewers here just a little history, who you are, where you're from, and what people might know you for. And then we'll kind of dive deeper after that.
Okay, sure. Well, I'm Caitlin, and I was born in Brooklyn and raised on Long Island, and I've been upstate in Rochester. It's kind of my second home now. I was up there for about 12 years, on and off at the end there, but yeah, and most recently I'm back in New York City. So I guess what people would know me from would be mostly Coyotes, which is a series. There's a lot of honking and people yelling because it's 7 o'clock, which is when everybody yells, for the first responders and essential workers and stuff.
Oh,
So,
I
yeah.
didn't know that. Okay.
Yep.
All
Every
right.
day at 7. Mhm.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, so my first series was with Image Comics called Coyotes, and that ended like a year ago or so. And since then, I've been working on a new series for Image with the same writer, Sean Lewis, and it's called Bliss, and that's what's coming up next. I also wrote and illustrated my first story, Buffy story, and did my first variant cover for them. So.
Ooh, okay. So yes, we are absolutely going to dive into that stuff because I'm excited about it. So, well, first I will say, once comic book shops are open, you can get Coyotes out anywhere, and I guess you can order online. The trades are online.
Yeah.
And then is the Buffy one? Is that out? I couldn't remember if it was like officially
Yeah.
out or not with everything.
So it was supposed to come out in the first week of April, so obviously
Yep.
that didn't go through.
Okay.
But it's been rescheduled to June 3rd. So I let everybody know, like I think yesterday or the day before, that they can order it, call their local comic book shop or order it online or anything like that. So it's not going to be like a Barnes & Noble thing because it's not a trade. It's an issue. So they can get it from their local shop or through Boom Studios website.
Perfect. So that's Buffy the Vampire Slayer, every generation.
It was really fun actually because it was a kind of a blank slate. There wasn't really much I had to. I mean, I made a few callbacks to the show just because I wanted to and because it's encouraged, but it wasn't like necessary because it was all about past Slayers, and so you could make up your own Slayer at whatever time period you wanted to. So
you made. Oh, man, okay, we're already getting into it. You wrote the story too?
yeah, it was my first time writing. I was really terrified actually, but it turned out okay, I think. Yeah.
Okay, we will come back to this because I have some extra questions. But first, how did you get into art? To illustration? Because I know your journey is a little bit different. You didn't take the "I'm going to be a comic book artist" route.
No. I mean, it's funny because I always did comics. I just didn't consider myself like a comic person. I did my first comic in like middle school, and I wrote and drew a comic for my entry into college, like one of my applications, and I've always been reading like indie comics and stuff like that. I just never was into like the main two. I was never like a superhero type person. So, but I got into the Sandman really hard in college when somebody gave it to me in my freshman year, and fell in love with that series. And so anyway, I've just always been an artist. I've always drawn. I've been drawing since I was a little kid, and my parents or my dad and stepmom, well, my mom too. Everybody encouraged me to do art and keep going with it. And I ended up going to this this place called the Huntington School of Fine Arts on Long Island. It was like a after school program type of thing where you learn how to draw from the nude model. This was like in 10th grade, so it's all like pretty different for that age. But yeah, I started learning oil painting and life drawing and sculpture even.
Okay.
And then put together a portfolio and applied to a bunch of art schools. Ended up going to RAT and majoring in illustration. And and so I did a lot of different illustration. Sort of, I kind of dipped my toe in all the different industries. That I wasn't sure where I wanted to go with it. When I first got out of college, I went straight into games, and I was at a game studio doing like mobile games for kids, like Nickelodeon games, things like that. I was there for about 6.5 years, became an art director there, and then decided to go freelance and realized I wanted to do comics. So I've been doing comics for about 5 years, I think. When I started wanting to do it.
Well, like, how did that realization hit you? Because just so anyone who's watching, if you have any questions too for Caitlin, feel free to throw them in the chat, and we'll take them as they come. But okay, so you're in gaming, and you've never really. I mean, I guess you said you've dabbled in comics here and there, but what was like the light bulb that went off that said, you know what, this is where I'm gonna go?
I think it was just something I wanted to try, because I tried a bunch of different things. I've tried book illustration, I've done murals, I've done, so, and I just, I'm not really a gamer. So I thought, this isn't really my passion. It's like, it's a great job to have, but it's not, it's kind of like sort of to the left of what I wanted to really do,
Yeah.
So I still do game design, because it's still fun and it's still great, and it's also tends to pay more than comics. So
surprise.
Yeah, who knew, right? But I try to balance the two, and by balance I mean I do both full time. So,
yeah.
So I just tried doing my first. I thought I'm gonna try going into comics. So I did like a 10-page portfolio piece, kind of. I wrote this little short story. It was like a Irish mythology type of thing, and mixed with like 1920s kind of look and feel. And then I used that and I sent it off to all these different people, like art directors and publishers and everything. I didn't know what I was doing. But that's how Sean found me, because I actually submitted it to Boom Studios' submission page.
Okay. So he worked for Boom at the time, or does?
No, he was just looking everywhere he could for another artist for his next series. And didn't have much direction to go on, so he was just scouring the internet, and I just happened to have plastered my work everywhere, and he saw my stuff on that wall and gave me a shout.
I was gonna ask. Well, I guess you've told me that story, but okay, so that's how you met Sean. Then he contacted you because he saw your art on this Boom Studios submission page.
Right.
Okay, so were there any specific artists or illustrators that inspired you, like when you were getting into comics?
Oh, sure. I mean, Fiona Staples was a big one for me. But I mean, honestly, I was an illustration major, so most of my influences were illustrators.
Yeah.
Like I love, growing up, I loved Brian Froud and Alan Lee, and there's just so many. And as I've gotten into comics, I've fallen in love with different illustrators in comics. But it kind of took me getting into it to really appreciate some of that stuff. So, I mean, I like a lot of, I feel like there's not a lot of cross-pollination there, which is kind of a shame. I think there's so much influence within the comic community. There's so much influence within the illustration community, and I don't really see why they don't cross over enough. I feel like there should be more of that. But
I know. Well, you're gonna bridge that gap, I think. That's what's happening next. Okay, so Sean reaches out to you, and what does he say? He says, I have this script for Coyotes, and then you read it and you said, cool.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened. I mean, I got the email, and of course you're always a little wary of cold emails. You're like, what's this? But then he said he already had a series with Image, and I was like, well, okay. So then I took a look at his script, and I really liked the story, and I thought I could do something with this. And then we talked some more, and it was a long, slow process because I was still learning just how to draw comics. And then I did a whole first issue, which was a huge deal for me to do a whole first issue. Like I'd never done anything that labor intensive. And then I decided that I had grown enough over that time period that I didn't think it was good enough anymore. So I redid it.
The entire thing.
The whole thing. Yeah.
Okay.
But it was necessary, I think. I don't think we would have gotten picked up if we had stayed with the original one. So no regrets.
Do you ever look back at those old pages as like, this is where I started? And, you know, have you ever used any of them? Like, at least as for inspiration now? No, it's just like, it's done.
I mean, you put that up on the event thing, and I was like, oh. I mean, it's fair. It's up there on the web. It's fine. But I was just like cringing. Yeah. I mean, I feel like most of us who work in comics, we do something, and if we're proud of it for like a day or two.
Yeah.
And then we're like, I could do better than that. And then you kind of move on. So
I have zero artistic ability at all. And I can't even fathom when people do what you do. But I write. So when I write, typically I write and then I'll go back. Like I'll write whatever it is that needed to be written in the script or whatever. And then I'll go back and fine tune it. How do you approach like your artwork?
It's more in like in more of a linear thing. It's more in steps. So it's kind of like trying to get the big building blocks set up the way you want them to before you go into the finer details of things. So you know, I kind of have a pretty streamlined process where I do really, really scratchy thumbnails of every page and every panel. I mean, like barely legible, like you can't even tell what's going on. But it helps me because I can do it fast enough that I'm drawing as I'm thinking, and I can move things around or change things. And then once I'm generally happy with the layout of each page and like where I want characters to be and stuff like that, I will have friends of mine come over and we'll do like a photo shoot, and I will direct them for every single panel of every page and just have them, you know, they'll come dressed up and we'll have fake guns and just all and and it'll be fun and a little hectic, and it's always a good time. And then I go back and I kind of re-sketch those pages, you know, more tightly with the reference. And then and then from there I start doing the inking, and I actually pencil digitally, and then I'll print it out really light, and then I'll ink over that. So.
Cool, like a tattoo artist almost.
Yes.
We did get a comment. Someone loves Fiona Staples, which I agree. So let me ask you about this process. So with working with Sean, and you know, you've never done comics before, was he like, these are how I want these panels to look? Or was he like, this is the script, go crazy?
That's it. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
He was really, really open. I'm actually really spoiled now, and I don't know how I'm going to work with other people in the future because I didn't realize when I first started that the general rule is that you are kind of dictated like what to put in every panel and how every panel is going to look, and I don't think I could do that. I think unless it was like somebody I really, really wanted to work with, I don't know. It's I feel strongly that like mainly the visual part of it should be left up to the person doing the art. So I don't know. I just I really like our process together because he sends me the script, and sometimes we even edit the script together. Like we'll send each other.
I was going to ask you that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll send him notes, and they'll be like, "What about this line?" Or I don't know about. What do you think about this? And then we'll kind of go back and forth a little bit, and then and then I just break down the pages how I kind of like guess where I think that we should break it up, and. Yeah, I mean, even character descriptions are pretty up in the air, so it's really
wow.
Nice. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you ever, butt heads about certain things, like where he's like, no, this has to be this way, and you're like, I don't know.
I mean, I guess only in so far as like sometimes, you know, plot direction when we're kind of brainstorming together about things, like he'll ask me my opinion about something and I'll be like, what if we do that or this, or if I have a suggestion about a line and he doesn't agree with it, and that's fine, you know, so we actually collaborate really well together.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
You're going to be the Greg Capullo and Scott Snyder of your time. Just work together for like the next, who knows how many years. They're still going strong. All right, sweet. So, because this question comes up quite a lot from people is how do you get a comic to a publisher? That's like a really common question to get all the time.
That's the $1,000,000 question because everybody has a totally different response to that. I honestly don't have like an answer that will satisfy anybody because you know the story. Like I got an email.
Yeah.
I honestly think that you need to get your, like if you're talking about from the art perspective, from the art side of things.
Well, so you guys work together, right? You got this comic, and I guess Sean already had a comic through Image, so like that isn't in.
It was very lucky.
He's lucky that way. But I guess I'm saying like if somebody just like you, okay, when you started pitching, you just threw your stuff all over the place and hoped that somebody was gonna email you or call you or whatever. Mm-hmm. Is that a good approach? You know what I mean? Just kind of send it to everywhere and whoever's taking submissions at the time, or is there like more of a step process that you've been in it for a little while?
I mean, I think it's a combination of a lot of things. Like everything in life, it's not very black and white. It's kind of like a big muddled mess. And I think that obviously there's like the luck involved in like getting an email from Sean who's already been published. But in order for that to happen, I had to have been working my ass off, sending my stuff out everywhere and making a whole portfolio piece. If it's like a 10-page story that I did without getting paid, you know, just in the hopes that I could like get better and also show skills off and all this other stuff. So, I think it's a mix of like really hard work and getting yourself out there and like really taking criticism well, like really listening to people and trying to figure out where your gaps are and there's definitely some luck involved. It's like anything else in entertainment, you know. There's gonna be that little push that you can't control, which really is really frustrating, but that seems to be how it goes. So, yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah. I mean, like you said, there's no right or wrong answer necessarily because who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, I would say Comic-Cons are good too.
Get
the table app because I got some initial comic job work that didn't get published, but I got paid for it. Just from having a table there. So I had a table there and I was selling prints and selling my original comic and everything. And that actually helped get me some freelance work, which again helped me like practice and get better at layouts and all that stuff. So
good. Okay. Awesome. Jason asked, are you reading anything currently?
Well, I do Audible because I have to use my eyes all the time for art things. But I did just finish Station 11. So that was really good. I like that a lot. And I'm moving on to Neil Gaiman's Ocean at the End of the Lane.
Okay.
So just started that one, though.
Do you still read comics?
I research comics.
Yeah.
So it's more like homework.
Yeah.
I don't really feel like I'm relaxing when I read comics.
Right.
I feel like I'm studying, but that's okay. I mean, it's still pleasurable when you especially when you find something that you really like, you know. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I do read comics, but it's not really it's more of a how can I up my game kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So. Okay, here's another question that gets asked a lot, and I'm sure you have a pretty good perspective on it. Sometimes people get approached, especially artists, where someone might say, hey, I'll get you paid after you do the work. Do the work first and then get paid once the project is funded or the comic gets picked up or etc. What is your thoughts on that?
This is going to be another unsatisfying answer. I think it really depends. It's a case-by-case basis. I mean, Sean didn't pay me to do Coyotes. We were putting it together as partners.
Okay.
To pitch to Image because that's what Image is creator owned. So there was no like, I'll pay you to do this and then it's mine and then I give it to somebody else. Like it was like, we're going to collaborate on this. So you're taking a bath financially until this is picked up. So we didn't see any money for, years after we started it. So So I can't really condemn doing a project like that.
Yeah.
At the same time, I think you do need to be really aware, and like you have to trust the person that you're going in on a deal with, and just try to be just try to be savvy about who you're working with, and yeah, I don't know what else to say about that. Like, you kind of have to just take a chance, I guess, if you really feel like it's the right project for you. But
Yeah.
you might get screwed over. I've been screwed over. I've had horrible projects before, and then I feel like I wasted tons of time. So it's going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just make sure you get to know the person first, maybe.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Maybe do a little background check on them.
So you just said years. How long did it take you guys to do Coyotes? Like from start to publishing issue number 1?
Well, I think it was like a year before we had like a full issue, because everything wasn't really written out yet, and I had also just been starting off in comics and figuring out how to do things, and so it took a really long time, but and then I redid it, so that was the whole thing. I still don't really like trying to do a whole issue in a month. I think a month is not enough time to do a quality comic, and I admire people who can, but I just can't. So I think probably because I use so much reference that it's just, and I have a day job, so it's just impossible. So yeah, I guess it varies in terms of how long it takes to do an issue, but the first one was a while.
When you worked, and we're gonna get into the Buffy thing now. Did you do that at the same time as this new one with Bliss, like simultaneous, or was there a break?
There was a break. Yeah.
Okay.
I did the first 3 issues and took a break. And then as I was waiting for issue 4, I think, and then Buffy came, and I was like, oh, this is good timing, because I have a little bit of time to do this. And I was down in Costa Rica at the time too, so that was a fun place to draw. And and then I did that, and now I'm just about to head back into Bliss. I took some time to do those commissions. So I'm just trying to get my head back in the game right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for Boom, how did that come about?
From Coyotes.
Okay.
They just saw my work from there, and they thought they would, see if I was interested in doing some work, which was amazing. And every time Boom Studios emails me about Buffy or Firefly or whatever, I'm just like giggling for an hour afterwards. Yeah.
All right. So were you a Buffy fan growing up?
The biggest Buffy fan.
Okay.
Like my best friend Nick and I took a trip from Huntington, which is like where I grew up, to Montauk, which is like a 2-hour drive.
Yeah.
And we played and sang along to the whole Buffy the Musical soundtrack.
That is awesome.
That's pretty much, we were both obsessed. And he didn't follow me with my Firefly obsession. He stuck with Buffy, but Joss Whedon's a genius. So.
Okay, I completely agree. So when it got moved from Dark Horse to Boom, I was very trepidatious because I liked that Dark Horse had a continuation of the series, and I was like, okay, they're not really gone. And then when Boom was like, oh, we're gonna reboot it, I didn't know how they were gonna do it, and then I read it, and I was like, they did it in the best possible way that I've ever couldn't even conceive. So,
are you talking about Geordie's run?
Yeah.
Yeah, Geordie Belair, she's amazing. I love her.
So good. So I actually wrote, which I never do. Like I wrote in, and I have like a little submission in issue 6, I think.
Oh my god, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Huge geek. So, anywho,
have you listened to the Buffy the Vampire Slayer podcast?
I have. Yeah.
Isn't it amazing?
Yeah.
I just listened to the most recent one about the episode The Body. That was really intense.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. That's so in college, high school, like what I would do is I would watch it in real time, and then I would go back before the second season and watch all the first season, and then just keep doing that. So I can't tell you how many times I've actually seen this series.
Yeah, you don't even have to like rewatch that episode. You just know it by heart, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. But so Boom says we want you to work on this Buffy, like it's a one-off, right?
I believe so. No, I think
Okay.
it might actually be.
Well,
No, I
your
think
story's a one-off.
yes, my stories are
Okay.
one. Yeah, they're all like short stories from different people. So
Okay, so how did you approach writing this? Like, because this is your first writing experience, and now you're mixing both worlds. What is
yeah,
that like?
that was really, really intimidating. Honestly, it was really scary. But I mean, it wasn't scary to come up with the ideas because I've fucking
I've
watched
been
Buffy
dreaming
my
about
whole
it
life.
my whole life.
Right. I mean, I was just like spitting off ideas right and left. I was like, okay, so what if we're in Ireland? Oh no, wait, what if we're in Japan? And what if we did this? And then like, Angel shows up and I just like went crazy. So I sent them like a ton of ideas. They were like really excited about a couple of them.
Yeah.
And then they picked one out of like the 4 that I sent them. And then I just it was a weird thing to kind of try to figure out what the rhythm should be. Like, do you do the writing first and then the drawing? Do you do the draw? Like, it was a weird. I'm trying to remember how I even figured it out. I think I had to outline what was going to happen, like the general idea of everything that was going to happen, and then figure out how I was going to break up the time in between. A lot of it was editing, actually, because it was a unique challenge in that it was a 10-pager. So 10 pages is not a long time.
Yeah, not at all.
Like at all. So I had all this character development stuff that I was trying to get in there. And then I was talking to my family because my family they're all actually pretty good writers. My dad and stepmom are really great writers, actually. So I happened to be down there in DC at the time, and I was just like bouncing ideas off of them. And then I realized I had to just like whittle down to the very essential stuff to tell the story, because I was getting lost in the details of the characters and everything.
Oh yeah.
That was the biggest thing, is just trying to fit everything in without making it feel like it was crammed. And also try to make it a little bit funny because it's Joss Whedon, and so you're trying to play with like language, and then you're just like, I have 10 pages to tell this whole thing. But it was really fun. Cannot
wait to read it. Very, very excited about it. Did you have to talk to Sean too? I mean, or because you guys, or is it different because it's a different thing?
Yeah, I don't think I sent it to Sean. I mean, he did offer, like I asked him if I could, run some stuff by him, but I didn't end up needing to. I did go back and forth a little bit with the editors, just to kind of fine tune some stuff that wasn't quite working out. But they were really great to work with. It was really, really, really easy process. So it was nice.
That's super cool. Yeah, good. All right, so we got a question here. What is Bliss about? So tell us about this next one.
Okay. So I think the most apt way to describe it would be somewhere between Breaking Bad and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Top 5 greatest movies of all time. Right. And you said Montauk and every time. Anyways, we'll talk off.
Yeah.
Off about this.
For sure. So it's about a guy who has a family, a sick kid, and he decides to kind of join up with some bad folks in this city where there's this drug going around called Bliss, and it makes people forget all their worst memories or the bad things that they did. So it's kind of this hedonistic town because everybody's just taking Bliss to forget things, and he gets kind of wrapped up in all that. So that's the general idea.
That is a cool idea. I could see a lot of crazy things happening in this.
Yeah, there's definitely, of course, I insisted on my supernatural stuff. So that comes in for sure.
So anything different when you guys approach this project compared to Coyotes?
Yeah, it's much more collaborative. We are basically doing the story together. I mean, he's doing the bulk of the writing and I'm kind of editing, but we're coming up with the general story as a team. And, then he'll come up with the next plot for, and then I'll kind of give him my ideas on that. And we'll go back and forth. So it's much more collaborative than Coyotes was, even though Coyotes was collaborative, but like this is even more so. So it's I think working this way kind of gave me the confidence to do Buffy because I felt like I'm learning how to write through working with Sean. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like learning about story structure and learning about character development and pacing and all that stuff.
So is it, do you guys already have a publisher? Like, is it going back to Image? Do you know?
Yeah. Image is publishing it. It's coming out July 22nd.
Okay.
It was originally slated for June 24th, but because of COVID and Diamond shutting down and everything, they had to reschedule everything. So it's coming out at the end of July, and hopefully by then things will be a little bit less crazy. But I'm assuming that we'll still have some remnants of this going on, and hoping that there's going to be a lot of curbside pickup options or online ordering, things like that.
So when you guys, so Coyotes was 8 issues, am I right?
Yep.
Do you have a set number, or is this an ongoing? Can you say?
I believe we're sticking with the same format. So it's going to be like 4 and 4.
Okay.
So it's going to be 2 trade paperbacks at the end, I think. I'm pretty sure that's what we're sticking with.
Okay. That's cool. Does that make it easier to say like, hey, this is one story. Like we know the beginning, middle, and ending, and then we're done. And I guess if we want to approach it later, sure, but you know what it is.
Yeah, it sounds like a nightmare to me to have an ongoing story. Like I would never, unless it was like my favorite story of all time and I couldn't ever bear to part with the characters.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine doing an ongoing thing because it would just be years and years and years of my life. And I have so many stories I want to tell, or so many stories I want to help tell. And it's just, so I like these mini series. I have a fear of commitment, so it's probably best to do it this way.
Though, so one of my favorite writers is Mark Millar, who has done a bunch of stuff for Image too. And he does, I think, 6 to 8 maybe. And it's usually, he might do some extra ones that center around it, but usually it's like, okay, here's Kick-Ass, and like this is it. This is the story. It's done. I appreciate that. Like, I don't have to worry about getting 100 back issues and who are all these people. It's like, oh, I got it, and this is it.
And also, it's almost like TV shows that have no ending. And you're just kind of like, are you guys flying by the seat of your pants? Like, are we gonna end with a whimper here because you just want to keep going with it? It's there's so many shows like that it started out so strong, and then you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You probably should have had a game plan here.
Yeah, they just came up with something. Robert says, yay, Firefly. And
hey, Rob.
I think he also said fantastic to something you said. Bliss, probably.
Oh, that Pop Rock is going to be offering local delivery.
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That would be great.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
So what is it like being an artist in the time of COVID?
Honestly, it's not that different in terms of like, you don't
go outside of your apartment anyway.
We pretty much quarantine anyway when we're working on comics. The only thing for me is mental health wise, it's not the best because, I've got some stuff and it's easier for me to get out of my head and everything if I'm out in the world, like working at a cafe every once in a while or being around other people. And so it's not good for me to be kind of stuck with my thoughts for too long. So, that's been the hardest thing, but I'm honestly lucky. I'm safe and healthy. My roommates are safe and healthy. And, so.
Okay. I got a question that I get asked a lot. Is there a time of day when you find yourself more motivated than others? Not necessarily now because it's everything's up and down and upside down, but normally, yes. How do you approach it?
I would say normally, no, I don't think there's really a time. I think it kind of comes in waves. Like there will be certain waves where I do better in the mornings.
Yeah.
Like before my job starts, or I will do better after work. So it really depends, but it kind of goes up and down. It's not really consistent.
Do you prefer working with a deadline or no deadline?
I mean, I would definitely prefer no deadline, but I don't think nearly as much work would come out if I didn't have a deadline. So
Yeah. Did Boom say like this is due this time? Like you have to have the script by this time, the art by this time?
yeah.
Okay. And did you have to I know storyboard's not the right term. I guess sketch it. Like, did you
Yeah.
have to send them a whole like this is what this is gonna kind of look like?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have to. It was more like they preferred to see what was going to come up next. Like they
Okay.
were, they wanted like a heads up so they could give me some suggestions if something didn't seem right.
Yeah.
And I didn't always succeed in giving them a sketch first, but they were fine with it because they were happy with what I was delivering. So they were pretty chill about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you mentioned so Jason did Coyotes get picked up for a movie or series? I thought I heard something.
Yeah, it's been optioned, so it's in the works, but we can't really say much more than that until something happens. So, but it has been optioned. Yes.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
Well, when you know.
Yes. As soon as I know anything more, I will shout it from the rooftops.
I'm sure you will.
Yeah.
That's gotta be a crazy process, but we can talk about it at a different time. That's just wild. So what's a dream project? Oh, well, okay, sorry. This kind of goes into it. You mentioned Firefly. Like, are you doing something with Firefly?
I'm doing a variant, like an incentive variant, I think
Okay.
it's called, cover for the next issue that's coming out. So,
Okay.
yeah, I just got that email like last week or the week before, and just sent them some sketches the other day, and now I'm doing. Yeah, I know it's stupid.
What do you know? What the image is? Like, do they tell you? Like, or are they just like do whatever? It doesn't matter if it has. Some comics it does. I know. Some people are like, okay, this is gonna fit the theme of the comics. Sometimes it's just like, this has nothing to do, but it's just sweet looking.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of how they said it. Like I got guidance in that. I got like scripts and reference and older issues to look at, and like I got the synopsis of what was going to happen in the issue that this was going to come out in.
Yeah.
But they didn't. They said I didn't have to necessarily stick with it. They were just like, if you have some ideas that would stick with it, that would tie in with the story, that would be nice, but you don't have to. So
okay.
And I looked at other variants that other artists had done just to see how they did it, and it's the same thing. Like some of them seem to be related, and some of them were just kind of like portraits and stuff. So so I sent a few ideas over, and they went with one of them. And yeah, so I'm going to be working on. I'm going to be posing myself for it tonight because I can't be around. I can't get anybody else around here, so I'm just, I don't have many options.
How many dinosaurs will be in the cover that like washes?
Yeah, no plastic dinosaurs. I honestly feel like there were some things that I was just like, is this going to be cliche? Is that going to be cliche? Like, is like Kaylee with strawberries going to be cliche, or like James with his hat? Like, so I was like trying to think of like things to not do, because I was like, I'm sure someone else has already done that. So yeah, no dinosaurs in this one.
All right, fine. Jason said, "It's just us girls. You can tell us something about about the Coyotes option." And then congrats. Rob says, "Wow, that's so cool," which it is.
Thanks, Rob. Rob's an old friend, actually. So.
Oh, that's even cooler. That's awesome.
He's an he's an amazing sculptor, by the way.
Rob, you might be on another episode then. Who knows? Who knows?
Do it.
Tell us then another dream project. I mean, you got Buffy, which is like everyone's dream. I know everyone, but I mean,
no, I mean
outside of us and maybe a couple thousand other people.
Yeah. No, I feel insanely lucky, and I would say I honestly would love to write and draw my own full graphic novel. So that would be after Bliss, obviously. Yeah. But if that wasn't a thing, I would say, I mean, we're talking Pie in the Sky, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, so Pie in the Sky would be Neil Gaiman, obviously.
I was gonna say Neil Gaiman,
I mean, right? Right here, So, yeah, I mean, he's what sparked my love for like long form comics in general, So
let's hope this whole Amanda Palmer stuff gets figured out.
I don't know what is going on with that. Only seen like
I just read it on Twitter the other day, and I was like,
yeah,
she's
I don't know what's going on, but
already insane. But good luck, Neil Gaiman.
the whole world is just in chaos right now.
That's it. That's it. All right, cool. So you're gonna be going into Bliss number 4.
Yep.
Soon.
Yep.
This variant cover for Firefly.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else in the works?
Oh, just to be clear, Bliss number 4, that's only on my end.
Like, no, I know.
Working
this
way
is
ahead.
like, yeah.
Bliss isn't out yet. Sorry. Anything else in the works? Yeah, so I did. I'm not sure who this is going to, because I think it was a Kickstarter. I'm pretty sure. But Hey Amateur is a book I published a short story with that Michael Conrad wrote.
Okay.
I did the art for, so that came out. And I did another thing for Shelley Bond for one of her projects recently. I think it's called Insider Art, and I did like a little sketch for that. Otherwise, no, it's pretty much just like after the Firefly cover, I'll just be working on Bliss until it's done, and then from then on, I don't really know. We'll see.
What when you say commission stuff, like how do you work that into your schedule? Because if you got a full-time job, you get comic stuff.
I mean,
you're getting paid for commissions, but yeah, how does that work?
I mean, I just did it because I wanted to help out with the COVID thing. So that's over now. I don't have any more time to like. I thought I can spare some time, like especially because I knew that things were going to get pushed back. So I thought, okay, I have a little time and I'll do, but I could only really squeeze in 10 commissions before I ran out of time. So I just sent those off this morning, actually, mailed those off today. And I'm hoping I can open up commissions in the summer sometime, but I really have no idea like where I'm going to be with Bliss. And I think I'm probably being very optimistic that I could do commissions this summer.
And with Coyotes getting optioned, you could be on a sci-fi network set somewhere.
Dude, don't even say that. I can't get excited about it.
Well, and don't get excited if it's sci-fi because it will get canceled. But maybe Netflix or Amazon or something. And Rob he said, I wish I could draw and paint half as good as Caitlin.
Oh, you stop that, Rob. He can. He's very talented.
That's awesome. So I would say drop some links in to your stuff. Can you just throw out the dates again as far as like when Buffy's coming and what's the next one? Bliss is coming, number 1.
So Buffy comes out June 3rd. So I would try to order now. I'm not really sure what the deadline is for that.
I don't know with like...
Because it's being rescheduled. So
you think it would have already happened, but now they're like taking them like a week in advance or something. I don't know.
Yeah. So okay. I mean, I say it can't hurt to call your local shop.
Call your Pop Rock if this is where you're listening to it.
And if you want the variant cover that I do, you have to kind of specifically ask for it. Okay. Because in this insane model of comics in this industry, they make it as hard as possible for people to get comics. We can have a whole other discussion about that. I mean, I don't really know enough to really complain. It seems like a very backwards industry in a lot of ways to me. Like I don't understand how it works.
Ethan could say some things because he owns the shop, but so for your I know I'm gonna let you go in a second. For your variant, like how does that work? Like you got paid for it.
That's what I mean.
But I mean, like I know how variants work for Marvel and the other ones is typically you look through the 75 variants that they have for Captain America, and I say I want this artist and this artist. For something like a Buffy, like I'm sure, obviously they have their fan group, but how would I? So I would just say, hey, I want the Yarsky cover.
I mean, that's what I would do. Like,
that's
what I would suggest to anybody. Like, don't worry about learning codes or like, because it's those numbers that you have to like just say like, I want I want this cover by this artist. Like that's how I would do it. And they probably know what you're talking about. So, yeah, maybe that's not the best advice. I don't know. But
hey, I mean, you got to get it. So
yeah.
Might as well get your cover. Okay, cool. So I think you said that right. And then when's Bliss? Same thing. That's
Yeah,
22nd of July.
yeah. 22nd of July is when Bliss comes out. So I think the FOC date for ordering is June 29th. Pretty sure.
Okay.
So it's like a month ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How excited are you when you walk into a comic book shop and see your comic?
I was super excited. Yeah, totally. I mean, I saw Coyotes, and it was faced out at Powell Books in Portland, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, made my day. Yeah.
Do you ever like stand back and go like, oh hey, like, oh, this looks like a pretty cool comic, like someone there, and they pick it up and they're like, you know what, oh, I'm gonna buy this.
No, definitely not that conniving. I mean, probably should if I was a smarter business person.
It's not
but-
conniving. You're just offering a suggestion. They could take it or leave it.
Yeah.
Jason did ask if your commissions are open, but they're not still open.
No, I'm sorry.
In the summertime, maybe.
Maybe.
Okay, well, I'll say this. It's been great talking to you again.
Me too.
And thank you for being on. And like I said, if you can drop in some... Oh, he said, where can people buy Money Still Going to help COVID relief? Yeah, I guess I would drop some links in after this thing's done, like, where they can find you and all
Sure.
that kind of fun stuff.
Well, thank you so much for hosting, and thanks to Pop Rock for doing this. Like, you guys are great.
Yeah, they did a good job. All right, Caitlin, you
All
take care, stay safe, and I'm
You
sure you'll
too.
stay busy. All right, bye.
See ya.